Okay, what if I told you that first contact with aliens isn't going to be some random surprise event? What if it's already on the schedule? According to the source material we're looking at today, there's a very detailed plan for humanity's grand introduction to extraterrestrial life. And honestly, the most shocking part? The countdown might have already started.
So, here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to connect the dots, starting with some really surprising chatter from the political world. Then, we'll map out this alleged timeline that's pointing straight to 2027. We're also going to dig into who might be pulling the strings, how this could change, well, everything. And we'll wrap it all up with a fascinating potential clue hidden at the one and only Skinwalker Ranch.
So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, not in some far-off galaxy, but right here on Earth. And believe it or not, it starts with some really interesting comments from a couple of former US presidents.
Okay, so this is where things get a little weird. It all kicks off with this strange back and forth. You had Barack Obama making a kind of off-the-cuff, joking comment about knowing the truth about aliens. And then Donald Trump came back with this line you see here. Now, on the surface, it looks like just a political jab, right? But the source material we're digging into sees it as something way, way more significant. So here's the thinking behind that. You can only leak something that's actually real, right? It has to exist to be leaked. So by calling Obama's joke a leak of classified information, the argument is that Trump might have accidentally validated the whole thing. He basically confirmed that the existence of aliens is a real, classified government secret. It was this potential Freudian slip that turned a simple joke into a matter of national security. All right, so if we follow that thread, if we assume for a second this is all real, the very next question has to be when. When is this all supposed to happen? Well, according to the source, this isn't some sci-fi fantasy set in the distant future. Nope, there's a specific schedule, and folks, it is coming up fast. So the roadmap, as it's laid out, is supposed to kick off in 2026, and the idea is pretty wild. The plan is to basically flood the mainstream news with so many undeniable UFO sightings that you just can't ignore it anymore. It becomes this constant global conversation. And the point isn't to create panic, it's actually the total opposite. It's about getting us all used to the idea, making us comfortable with it before the big reveal.
And all of that prep work, all those sightings, they're all leading to this one year, 2027. This is marked as the year of the official introduction. I mean, just imagine a global press conference where all the world leaders finally get on stage and admit what people have been saying for decades, that we are not alone.
But I mean, an event like that, on a global scale, that would take a level of coordination we have literally never seen before. It's something far bigger than any one government or even a group of governments. So that leaves us with the biggest question of all. Who, or maybe what, is actually pulling the strings here?
Okay, and this is where the theory really takes a hard turn into the extraordinary. So, get ready. The source claims the architects of this grand plan aren't just aliens working with our governments from some distant planet. No, the claim is that they are working through beings who are part human and who are already living right here among us.
Yeah, you heard that right. These secret players are called extraterrestrial hybrids. According to this source, we're talking about beings with a blend of human and alien genetics. And the craziest part is, they're not supposedly hiding out in the shadows. They're already integrated into our society, working from the inside to get us all ready for the big reveal. And it gets even more detailed. The source breaks it down into two different types. First, you've got the adult hybrids. These are supposedly created off-world and then brought to Earth as adults and placed in key positions to help out. But then there's the second group, and this one is pretty mind-blowing. Hybrid children. The idea here is that they're introduced into our society through adoption, and their new families have absolutely no idea about where they really come from. Okay, so an official announcement is one thing. But let's be real. How would we, as a society, as individuals, actually handle this news? Not just the abstract idea that aliens exist, but the very real possibility that they could already be our neighbors, our coworkers, maybe even part of our family. How do you process that?
Well, the source is really clear on this point. That 2027 event, it's not the finish line, not even close. It's actually just the beginning of what would be a very long, very complicated adjustment period for, well, our entire species.
And that whole long adjustment period? It's because of a phenomenon called ontological shock. It's kind of a fancy term for what happens when your entire worldview gets shattered. I mean, imagine waking up one day and finding out something you know to be true, like gravity, just isn't.
It's a total crisis of reality. And for a lot of people, the first reaction wouldn't be excitement. It would be denial, fear, a real struggle to even process it. So, to manage that kind of shock, the plan isn't to just drop this bombshell and walk away. The integration is meant to be gradual, like a slow drip of information over an entire generation. We're talking decades for society to really absorb it all. Older generations might have a really tough time unlearning everything they thought they knew. But kids growing up in this new normal would just adapt to it, like it was always that way.
And that brings us to the last piece of this incredible puzzle. The source connects this massive cosmic timeline to one very specific and very, very mysterious place right here on Earth, the one and only Skinwalker Ranch.
So the theory goes something like this. All the bizarre, unexplainable stuff happening at Skinwalker Ranch isn't random at all. It's all because there's supposedly a buried alien craft in the mesa. And get this, the intelligence that controls that craft is deliberately gating the discovery. It's letting the researchers find just enough to keep them going, but only at a very specific, controlled pace.
And the evidence they point to for this gating is, well, it's just extraordinary. I mean, listen to what the researchers there have documented. We're talking about high-powered lasers that just stop in midair, rockets that seem to bounce off an invisible dome in the sky, sophisticated GPS systems that go haywire the second they cross some unseen line. It's stuff that just shouldn't be possible.
And this is the real kicker. This is the final piece of the puzzle. The theory suggests that the team at Skinwalker Ranch won't be allowed to make their ultimate discovery, to actually prove they've found a ship, until after that official 2027 announcement has already happened. The ranch would then become the final physical proof, a tangible object that a world still trying to process the news can actually look at.
So, that's what it all comes down to, right? Are these just a bunch of disconnected dots? A weird political comment here, a future spike in UFO sightings there, and some truly bizarre science happening at a ranch in Utah? Or, as this source material suggests, could we be watching the world's biggest secret being revealed step by step, right on schedule?